Hey guys, this is Team Winning's Bryan again. Continuing along with what I said I was going to do and basically post all the decks that I have currently. Tachikaze is probably going to be later in the week because I'm waiting for my Ravenous Gatorexes to come in. So I'm going to go ahead and treat you to my version of Narukami. Now, it's already been posted once on the channel. I think Team Winning's Jesse was the one doing it. That was my deck. I have made a couple of changes to it since then. And the main reason I'm posting with this is there's a lot of debate on what grade 3s to play. I'm basically just showing you the logical reasons why I play what I do. So starting off, I play Spark Kid Dragoon as my main vanguard. The other option is Lizard Runner Seishin. Lizard Runner Seishin's good, however with this format there's not a lot of grade 0s that are sitting out there. Royal Paladin doesn't have a 0 that sits out there anymore. Usually the ones that do are Kagero and Nova Grappler. And outside of Kagero, Nova Grappler is not seeing a lot of play. So I'd rather use the Dragoon because the Dragoon's useful in all situations. Its ability, other than the classic when you ride an Narukami, you can call it a rear guard. His ability is counterblast 1, put it into soul, look at the top 5 cards, choose a grade 3 from him, and add him to your hand and shuffle the rest back in. So let's get him out of here. Farther out. There we go. Alright, as you'll see through a good 8 or 8 videos, I play 8 crits in almost everything that I play. I'm not a big fan of stands. The exception naturally there is Nova Grappler, and when they come out, Pale Moon, but that's because they actually have a sound reason to play them. I play 4 Malevolent Djinns and 4 Carbuncles. Malevolent Djinn has an additional ability of call it a rear guard and then basically add it to soul and give something +3. It can be helpful when pushing columns late game. Usually you don't want to do him early game. Which is the reverse of what I was saying with Grand Blue. Grand Blue, you want to do it early game, but not do it late game. This one's kind of different, because if you're playing him, you're trying to push for game instead of trying to block. So let's get these guys out of here. And then I play 4 draws. Like I said, classic for almost every deck I play. It's just a basic 5k draw trigger. And then 4 heals. Because in my opinion, every deck should play 4 heals. I know some people, very few people actually disagree with that statement. Basic 5k healing, 10k shield. Next, I'm playing 14 ones. The first one is 3 Photon Bomber Wyverns. He's your Vanguard booster, basically. His ability is if he's boosting a Vanguard and your opponent has 3 or more damage, this card gains power 1000. Or the boosted unit gains power 4000. Kind of doesn't matter who gains the power, it's still ending up to be the same column strength. So he's basically, late game, he's a 10k booster, which is really good. And then my next grade 1 is Desert Gunner Ryan. This is the only Desert Gunner I play, hence part of the debate. His ability is when he comes into play, either Vanguard or Rearguard, you can target one of their units and that unit can't intercept. So it's really only useful against 2s. At least from my experience, I've found late game, 9 times out of 10, they have 3 columns. So he's not as useful, but say mid-game or say they do have the grade 2 there, you can just plop him down and stop the intercept. He's another one of those game pushers. But I'd rather run him than the grade 2 because I think Narukami has better grade 2 options, which I'll get to my grade 2s in a second. And then I play, pretty much like I play in every deck, I play 4 Wyvern Guard Golds, which is your perfect card, the classic call it a Guardian Circle, ditch a Narukami from your hand, target Narukami can't be hit by this attack. Then, again, pretty much classic to all of my decks. 4 Red River Dragoons, it's just the 8k beater. Next, my grade 2 lineup in this deck is kind of weird. I don't know if it's really the lack of or just because there are so many choices. But I'm going to get into the one that I played 2 of first, which is Draconic Death Scythe. And his ability is, when it comes into play, Counterblast 2, retire something grade 2 or lower. Good to kill grade 2s, really good to kill 1s or 0s just in case you miss, or it seems like they're playing kind of slow. You can slow them down further by hitting their 1s. 9 times out of 10, this card's going to kill a 2, though, because it kills an intercept, which basically kills a 5k shield that they have. My next card is Hex Cannon Wyvern. I play 3 of it. His ability is if your opponent has 3 or more damage, he gains power 3000. So it puts him from an 8 to an 11. The reason why I like this guy over Sheeden, which is the grade 2 version of Ryan, him by himself, he can hit Nova Grappler Vanguards or any 11k Vanguard. 9 times out of 10, the only time you're going to see 11k Vanguards is either in a Ride Chain or Kagero's Draconic Overlord or Nova Grappler's Almost Anything. So just in case I don't have anything to put behind him, he's an 11k by himself, which still forces either a damage or 1 card out of their hand. Then I play 3 Demonic Dragon Berserker Garudas. It's a damage unflipper. And this deck does counterblast a little bit excessively, so he can help you reset some of your damage. Some people play 2. I personally like playing 3 because I'd rather try and reset more. He's a good turn 2 ride, too, because you're probably going to counterblast away your Spark Kid Dragoon, and then you're going to swing. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to block him, so you get the damage back. And then, not classic to some of the other things I play, I only play 3 10k beaters in here. That's because Narukami does have a lot of 2 choices. Really, like if I wanted to bump him up to 4, I'd probably end up taking out a Hex Cannon Wyvern. But I like having the Hex Cannon Wyverns in there because unless you're not having a good day, it shouldn't be terribly hard to get them up to 3 damage, which means the Hex Cannon Wyvern's an 11. So that's pretty much that. And then my 3s, and this is where the real topic of debate's going to be today, is Thunderbreak Dragons. I play 2 Thunderbreak Dragons. A lot of people play Djinn. I think it's called Djinn of the Lightning Flash. Their justification is that they think Vermilion is the only good 3 that should be the Vanguard. I tend to disagree just because of the fact that, sure, it's when he comes into play, he does the same thing as Death Scythe. People think that just justifies not playing him and playing more Death Scythes. But the thing about it, he's the classic limit break 5 plus 5k. And if you have a Bomber Wyvern behind him, he's a 25, which against any non-11 Vanguard is almost always either a perfect guard, 2 10k shields, or a 10 and a, even against Nova Grappler, it's a 10 and a 5, and they're hoping you don't get a trigger. So my opinion is he's the best way to bait a perfect guard out. That's why I play them over Genies. The other drawback to Genie is that it can only attack the Vanguard, even if it's in rear guard slot. If they end up triggering out of the Genie, then your Genie just sits there and it can't do anything. I like having options. I don't like having a rear guard that can potentially flub, especially if I don't have anything behind it. So that's why I play Thunder Breaks. My next guy is I play 3 Breakthrough Dragons. His thing is just when it's boosted by an Narukami, I think it's, yeah, boosted by an Narukami, it gets power 2000. So if you have your Red River Dragoon behind it, it's a 20k beater, and that's one of the ways this deck gets to 20k on rear guard. Going back to the Genie, people play the Genie because they want more ways to get to the 20k column. The Genie's ability is just during your turn, it's plus 2k if you have I think it's if you have an Narukami Vanguard. So it doesn't require a booster, but it can only hit the Vanguard, and I don't like that. So Breakthrough Dragon goes away, and then the big daddy of their stuff, Draconic Kaiser Vermilion. A lot of people play 4 just so they can get it. I usually only play 3 just because the way I view this card is it's usually a one-shot and out. So you hit your limit break, you play it on your 3, you're probably going to limit break so you can Vermilion Thunderbolt their field, and then you swing out and put them in critical damage. And then what's usually going to happen, and at least this is how I play it, is that they're going to put you to 5, and then next turn you're going to end up riding a Thunderbreak Dragon over him. And then you can Counterblast 2, kill any 2s they brought into play off of the Thunderbreak Dragon, and then swing 25k at him. Either, again, forcing the Perfect Guard, forcing more cards out of their hand than they can usually afford, or killing them. One of the 3 usually happens. So, what makes this guy boss, absolutely boss, is that his limit break is limit break 4, counterblast 3. This unit gains plus 2,000 power and swings at their entire front row. A benefit of him swinging at their entire front row is even if they have grade 2s, they cannot intercept because they're still technically under attack. So each guard is also done individually. So most of the time when he thunderbolts, they're just losing their 2 rear guards. Most of the time, they're not going to block. So you get basically Counterblast 3, kill 2 cards is the way that I look at it. And you still get a Twin Drive, so even if they block and you reveal something that puts it over whatever they blocked, his power will go against all 3 units. So, again, really solid, especially if you have a Bomber Wyvern back there. He'd be swinging for 23k on their entire column that turn. Oh, and I may or may not have mentioned this, but it also gives him plus 2,000 power when he does it, so it turns him to a 13. Plus the Bomber Wyvern makes him a 23. I mean, that's pretty much it. Like I've said in all my other videos, comment, rate, subscribe, ask questions. You know, don't be afraid to question my playstyle. Granted, every player is going to have their own playstyle of doing something. Every player is going to think a certain card is good and a certain card is bad. I'm not necessarily knocking the Djinn playstyle. It's just I'm a player that likes their options instead of just trying to commit solely to aggro. And I see the Djinn playstyle as committing solely to aggro, which is why I don't do it. Other than that, guys, this is, I think, video 3 that I've done tonight. So, other than that, team winning out, and I will have another video up in a minute.